This is the VOA Special English Health Report. Each year, an estimated 106 million people get infected with gonorrhea. This sexually transmitted disease is getting harder and harder to treat. The World Health Organization says gonorrhea is increasingly resistant to antibiotics. The WHO warns that there are few treatment options available and that the world is running out of ways to cure it. Manjula Lusty Narasimhan is a scientist at the WHO. She explains what could happen if this bacterial disease becomes untreatable. For men and women of reproductive age, they could become infertile. For women who are pregnant, they could have ectopic pregnancies or spontaneous abortions that could increase maternal deaths. And for infants born to these women with untreated gonorrhea, over half of them develop severe eye infections which can lead to blindness. Gonorrhea is one of 4 major sexually transmitted infections that can be cured. The other 3 are chlamydial infection, syphilis, and chancroid. But the organism that causes gonococcal infections has developed resistance to almost every class of antibiotic that exists. Resistance is caused by the overuse of antibiotics and the use of poor quality antibiotics. It also results from natural genetic changes or mutations within disease organisms. The WHO says it does not know the extent of the resistance worldwide. This is because of a lack of good information in many countries and a lack of research. But it says cases of resistance to treatment are already being reported in several countries. These include Australia, France, Japan, Norway, Sweden, and Britain. The WHO is calling for smarter use of antibiotics and more research into new ways to treat the infections. Dr. Lusty Narasimhan says there is no current research into new drug treatments for gonorrhea. She says, "We have no plan B right now." She says curing the disease is no longer as simple as taking a pill. As she puts it, "We are in a state right now where in so many places this organism is rapidly developing resistance. So we do need to start looking into the research." The WHO is calling for urgent action to prevent the spread of untreatable gonorrhea. A new global action plan calls for increased monitoring and reporting of resistant strains of the disease. The plan also calls for better efforts to prevent, diagnose, and control the infections. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. You can find links to more information about gonorrhea at voaspecialenglish.com. This is the VOA Special English Health Report. The latest estimate is that more than 3 million babies die each year within the first month of life. A report says this is down from 4.6 million deaths in 2009. Still, newborn babies represent about 40% of all deaths in children under 5 years old. Experts say 5 countries have the lowest newborn survival rates: India, Nigeria, Pakistan, China, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. India has 1/4 of all deaths within the first 4 weeks after birth. The report is from the private humanitarian group Save the Children and the World Health Organization. Dr. Joy Lawn from Save the Children says simple actions can help save lives. not delivering the baby onto a dirty surface, drying the baby, keeping the baby warm, and feeding the baby straight away resulted almost in a halving of the newborn deaths in a very rural area in India. Dr. Lawn says having trained medical workers present could also save many babies and mothers. If you had the health workers with the right equipment and the right drugs in these settings, definitely maternal deaths, neonatal deaths, child deaths could be halved. And the equipment does not have to be complex. A student team at Rice University in Houston, Texas, developed a low-cost device to assist newborns with breathing problems. The device is called Infant Air. The researchers plan to test it at a hospital in Malawi, then develop training programs for nurses and hospital technicians. The World Health Organization estimates that about 1,500 pregnant women die each day. Millions more suffer infections or injuries from pregnancy and childbirth. A recent conference in Washington presented winning ideas in a competition called Saving Lives at Birth. The top honors went to Dr. Michelle McIntosh and her team at Monash University in Australia. They plan to manufacture a dry powder containing the drug oxytocin. Oxytocin reduces the bleeding after birth that causes 25% of all maternal deaths. The powder would be used in a spray that the mother could inhale into her lungs. The contest organizers included the U.S. Agency for International Development and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There is evidence that programs to reduce newborn deaths are starting to make progress, especially in parts of South Asia. But progress is slower in Africa. The new report says Africa could need more than 150 years to reach the current survival rates in the United States or Britain. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal.